24. 40. Oops, I better do it again. Let's try that. I'm gonna be calling the village plan commission of April 1st, 2024 to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Thusius,
Here.
Commissioner Francois,
Here.
Commissioner Brochus,
Here.
Trustee Kettlebaiter,
Here.
and Village President Langfeld.
Here. Stand for a pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We were at public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the plan commission on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes while the plan commission encourages input from residents and may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noticed on the agenda. Do you have any public comment?
None received prior to tonight.
Okay, no one on the computer?
No hands up.
All righty. We will move to general business. Number one, approval of the minutes from the February 5th, 2024 Plan Commission meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. So moved. Here we have discussion and possible action, general development plan for 100 Pine Meadow Court. We'll take this in 2 steps. Step 1 will be a public hearing. Do I have a motion to open a public hearing for the development of 100 Pine Meadow Court?
I'll make a motion to go into public hearing for 100 Pine Meadow Court.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are now at public hearing. Is there anybody who would like to speak at the public hearing?
I would, but I'm not sure exactly how this works.
Well, come on up here.
This is not for lunch.
Okay. Oh, it's, okay,
Yes, it's for Pine Meadow.
perfect.
Yeah.
So,
All right, all right. So
Hands up.
do I have nothing? All right, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for 100 Pine Meadow Court.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Public hearing is closed. We will go to the second part, discussion and possible action regarding the GDP of 100 Pine Meadow Court. Do I have a motion?
I will make the motion.
So it'd be a motion to approve, we want to do it in the positive, approve the GDP 100 for 100 Pine Meadow Court.
I'll make the motion to approve the GDP for the 100 Pine Meadow Court.
Do I have a second?
so if I want to make a motion to not approve it, do I make that as a second motion?
No. Because if this gets voted down, then it's
Okay,
automatic.
you just wait for, if no one seconds it, then it doesn't.
Yeah, we need to go to a second. Did you second it?
No.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. So I have a motion and a second. We're at the discussion. Now we can talk about the pros and cons with it. So go ahead, Sarah.
Well, some of the pros and cons, just looking at the general zoning ordinances. We made some notes, I think it's not a good decision based on the flood risk and the erosion runoff risk, which is the whole purpose, from what I can tell, the whole purpose of the ordinance and the zoning code for the slope, the regulations we have around slope. And I mean, that appears to be the whole purpose of having those, that statement. And given the history, I was looking at the zoning code and just getting a sense of why there was that verbiage in the chapter 84. And it looks like it's, you know, based on a 100-year flood and the risk of erosion and water control and whatnot. Clearly, we know that we had the 500-year flood in 2018, skipping all these 100-year floods from which, you know, helped to drive that verbiage in the zoning code. Also, who's looking at I'm trying to figure out where I have this. I also was looking at the village code for variances. And there's particular verbiage that indicates variances are not intended to be used for circumventing village code, which appears to be the purpose of the request for variance. Trying to find what it's. Right. It's 270.
Yeah, I know, it's a good one. It would be under, I think, conditional use. I think they're asking, it's a conditional use they're asking versus the variance, right? Or
This is the GDP.
a variance?
We're asking for PD zone,
Mhm.
different than either of those.
It's different than what, for example, is being requested from the other property that we'll be discussing tonight, which is not looking for variance. If you just give me a second, I want to find where.
So
Go ahead, Seth.
there was one quote that actually I was going to bring up that had similar language, and I don't know if it's confusing the two, but in the plan development section of the zone. I just skipped off my page. It said, it had a quote that said, the zone, PD zoning is not intended to circumvent other zoning or requirements of the zone, just like similar language that you used. It wasn't specific to variances, but just the.
PD zoning, correct. No, I'm sorry.
All right. I'll let Sonia speak, I think, since she knows it, but I know that's one of the reasons we do the plan development is for the uniqueness of that particular development, and almost all of them have some variation of the zone code. Sonia, go ahead.
Sure, just a little overview of plan development zoning. So it is.
Can you introduce yourself?
Thank you. Yeah, Sonia Kriesel, I'm consulting village planner with Vanderwall and Associates. I've been up on the Zoom, so I haven't had a chance. Sorry, you get in person, no problem. Plan development zoning is often described as a negotiated, create your own zoning district. And so inherent to that is that you are going to have flexibility, as it's also described in the language of the code, from the base zoning district. The purpose of using flexibilities or creating your own sort of zoning standards is to balance, provide something to the village that kind of meets other village goals or provides a higher level of design, higher quality of something. And then in exchange for providing something like that to the village, you get some flexibility from the code. So in this case, they're asking for, I think, 4 primary flexibilities. Those are in the memo that I provided. Number 1 is to add a 4th residential building. So otherwise the code restricts you to 1 principal land use per site. There would be 4 principal buildings here. They already have 3. So this is just completing that 4th building. A second flexibility is to reduce the 30-foot rear yard setback to 20 feet within 20 feet of the rear property line. The third flexibility is this building separation.
What's the document you're referring to?
This would be in the plan commission package.
Oh, in the packet, okay. Oh, the letter you wrote.
Staff memo, yep.
Gotcha.
So separation between principal buildings is usually supposed to be 40 feet. And they're asking to go down to 10. And then the 4th one, which you referenced, is flexibility from the hillside protection overlay district. So that's to allow site grading in the foot of the 20% slope.
And the parking. Impermeable surfaces.
I don't have any flexibility written into this memo about flexibility from stormwater. requirements. And we did confirm with the developer's engineer that they intend to comply with all of the stormwater rules. That's
But
what,
not the parking rules. Which are
They meet the parking rules.
for,
Because they went they
They
got rid of,
reduced
they
by,
reduced one of the bills, like one of their,
they took away an apartment and I think made more one bedroom.
oh, so that would reduce the required number.
Correct.
Gotcha.
so I guess just one more comment about the difference between plan development, zoning and variances. Variances are much more strict. They're sort of quasi judicial and you have to identify specific justifications in order to get a variance. For example, steep slopes that prevent compliance with the code. Or something that you did not create yourself, so a wetland that prevents you from being able to meet a building setback. That's much more strict. Plan development zoning, like I said, is negotiated. You're supposed to be looking at, is the village getting something in return for this flexibility? In this case, we hear a lot about housing affordability, so this is bringing additional housing units to the village, so that's something that you might consider.
Also in the memorandum that you wrote, I had a question, page 3, parking must be provided in attached garages or under building parking. Yeah, but there is no garages or under building parking existing there. And obviously not included in the additional parking, so,
So that would be a flexibility.
but we're already allowing no parking. I mean, we're already sort of breaking our own rules with this property to begin with, by not having parking must be provided in attached garages or under building parking. Additional 18 spaces. I'm looking at your memo, page 3, the number. For new rental units initially indicating the addition of 18 spaces. That seems like quite a lot to me. Hillside overlay, purpose of providing specific requirements to protect hillsides from the adverse effects of development. That seems like a really reasonable purpose for us to have the hillside overlay zoning district regulation. Now, not only are they looking to, it's not like one ask, right? So you're asking for, I don't know, presumably they've changed from 18 parking units. Asking us to change and, overlook the hillside overlay zoning district, which purposely was designed for the village to protect the village interests. Move the buildings from the required 40 feet to 10 feet distance between. And, what was the other ask? And so it's 4 big asks for what? How much more housing in the village is
They're adding 7.
7 units, 7 one-bedroom units is gonna solve our housing.
It's not one bedroom.
But you said 1 bedroom to reduce the parking.
They modified their plan from the very beginning.
Right. So. it's-
But just so you know, the parking is not on that. That's part of our code, that a 1 bedroom has 1 stall, a 2 bedroom, 2.3.
Yeah.
There's some formula that we say they have to
We're
have.
saying that we're gonna also put that as our formula.
No, I don't think so. I think they
You want
met.
18 parking spots?
Well, I don't want, okay,
This building,
I'm, Sarah, 1 minute you're saying that you're opposed to them because they're not following the rules, and then you don't like that they're following the rules because it's too much.
The rules would say 18 parking spots.
Right, and that's what they're
Which
doing.
to me is not in the best interest of the village, given the location and also the additional overlooking of the hillside overlay.
Well, they would be happy to reduce the parking spots.
It's a really significant flood risk there.
Have you been to the lot?
I was there yesterday.
Okay.
I also live on Love Drive and
Yeah.
experienced the flood in
Okay,
that zone directly.
okay.
So I'm not.
We're not talking about-
No, we're talking about the building that's quite close to there, which is also part of the same hillside. And I mean, were you guys here for the flood?
Talking about the
Yeah.
going out of town.
Bourbon Road. This is the Bourbon.
No.
Yes, this is
Yeah,
off
it's
of
just
Bourbon
Oh,
Road,
it is.
right across from the fire station.
Oh, sorry.
Right next to
My
the
bad,
ones that-
yeah. With you. I'm with
Graphics,
you.
whatever lateral.
no,
Left. So anyway, I think, sure, I mean, why do we make zoning district code if we're just gonna say it doesn't matter for 7 units? I think the overlooking the risk of flooding in this area is asinine after what this village went through
All right,
for 7 years.
Seth?
Well, building off of what Sarah said, I mean, from the original review and then having a chance to, the concept review from last meeting to this, and looking at the memo and looking at the zoning ordinances. To get PD zoning, she mentioned is, you're getting that flexibility in exchange for a higher level of design. The way the code specifically says is possible relaxation of certain development standards pertaining to the underlying standards of the district. In exchange for such flexibility, plan development shall provide a much higher level of site design, architectural control, and other aspects of aesthetic and functional excellence than normally required for other developments. That's the part I'm not seeing. What, if we're gonna give them the flexibility on these things, and it's a fairly substantial ask, what are we getting that's better than normal out of it? I understand they're gonna meet the stormwater requirements in the back, but beyond that, what excellence in design is this proposing?
I don't know if
Judy?
this is what you're asking for, but I think last time we were here, when they were here, I think they said the value would be like 1.4, or like taxes, or tax income is what we're gonna benefit from it.
Well,
What is that
But
about?
that's not abnormal from a norm, if they stuck to the original zoning, it's still,
I think where you are with that is, if you do not give some leeway, that lot will not be developed.
that's a
That's-
financial thing,
that-
but
Well,
that's not what the code talks.
I'm just letting you know that you're asking all this stuff is, well, anything would be better than having nothing if you're looking at just at that standard of design. This design is gonna be better than the design that you have right now.
Which is nothing, which is
Exactly.
perfectly fine.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could be happy with that. To me, I'm just gonna give my opinion. You have 5 apartment buildings right there in a U shape. There's a lot there that could provide housing. It would be higher density for the village. I'd rather have 7 units there than on a farm field. So to me, that's infill, which I think is extremely important when you talk about flooding and everything else. The hillside, we are talking about a very small fraction of that building going into the hillside, which is at the bottom. And we do our hillside by grade, and I think when you went out there and looked at it, it looked very much to me that was man-made, that backside from the fence into it, looks like that's where they put the fill to get the grade. So I think the grade starts where the fence line is, and they're not going past that fence line or the tree line. There's no view shed, ruin. So what it is to me is, and they've made the water, retention part of it. For me, it's putting infill and getting housing, into Cross Plains. That's on a lot that I don't see has any other purpose than for, to me, housing. Now, we can leave it just green space between the last building and the hillside. But to me, I think it's a little give for a big benefit.
Big benefit is what? Infill and 7 housing units that are not meeting any of our standards.
Well, no, so they meet a lot of our standards.
Infill meaning that that's not impermeable surfaces that are gonna increase
But
risk of flood.
You're missing my point. If
I like your point.
if it's in a farm field, it's the same, right?
Well, are we talking about?
Well, no, but we're gonna need housing,
Yeah.
right? And we need to grow. So
And
at some point,
We have ordinances and I think we should follow.
okay, but I just wanna. When you say that, we are following the ordinance. That's, these planned developments, we can go down Main Street and find tons of them. It's not like this is an exception to the rule. We do use it, so if this gets passed, I don't want people to feel that they're breaking the ordinance because you're in support of this. This is the legal way of doing it. And it's an acceptable way of doing it. So we're not breaking our ordinances, we're giving flexibility. And we've done it in the past and we'll do it in the future. So I just don't want people to feel that if you support this, you're going against our ordinances and don't care about the hillsides or the flooding or anything like that. I think we gotta keep it where it's the balancing. I have Bill and Seth.
Two questions. To the south of the east unit is a small building. Do we know what that building is?
The east.
This little-
It's right here, right in the corner down
this
here.
little-
Maybe it's
I want-
a shed for their
Well, that's like
equipment.
their garbage, I was there last night, it's like the garbage.
Fenced garbage area.
There or something.
Okay, so is that getting moved or replaced, or is that gonna stay where it is and they're gonna be putting the building around that? I'm just curious. Because
I don't remember.
because I gotta tell you, the maps were really, really hard to read because they are just all gray. And I really.
Is this what you were referring to?
Yeah, that's
The
probably what that is right
dumpster
there.
pad, I guess. is what I'm saying.
So it looks like it's staying.
I think it's.
I don't think that's it.
I feel like that's across, I feel like that's the build, this building, isn't it?
There's one further.
No.
South, further down.
If you look and zoom in on page, what page are you on now?
It says remove existing shed right there.
When I think,
Go ahead.
Oh, wait.
Well, wait, no, it's
So I,
Seth.
I was told, so that is gonna be removed?
Yeah, it says right here, remove existing.
Okay, so then where, I'm still on that first question, where is that going to be replaced then? Where's that going? If that's gonna be
Shed.
garbage or.
No, it was a
it
shed.
does, it does.
Oh, it's just,
This is shed, this was a
It might not be-
concrete pad. I don't know
okay,
which one you're
okay,
referring to.
so.
It is their garbage, I was there last night, and there's actually garbage that flies out of it, and over the ground, but.
Okay, so then what are they doing for water mitigation coming off that hill? Because again, I couldn't figure that out reading the maps that were. given to us.
Well, they're meeting, actually, to be honest,
How? What are they doing? Where are they putting a retention pond? Where are they putting something so the water coming off the hillside doesn't end up on brewery or in the creek or anything like that? That's what I'm asking. I understand that you said that they're meeting it. I just want to know how they're meeting it. You know what I mean? That's the question. And
Randy, are you
I could-
able to help with that answer?
I was gonna say, is that Randy?
Yes, absolutely. My name's Randy Kalinsky from Veerbecker. I'm the civil engineer for the developer on this project. So I'll just touch base on the shed and the trash enclosure first. If you scroll up to our demo plan, that existing shed is no longer in use per information provided to us by the owner. So that is going to be removed. The dumpster pad is going to also be removed. It's going to be relocated to the south end of the access drive. And you'll see that on the site plan. You can scroll to the next sheet, Brian. So you'll see the trash enclosure labeled at the end of the access drive. In terms of stormwater management, for all the new impervious surfaces, we are meeting village ordinance for peak. You know, what the biggest concern that I'm hearing here tonight is for peak flow, up to the 100-year storm. And so on the east side of the 7-unit building that we are proposing, there is an infiltration basin that is going to capture runoff from both the hillside as well as the eastern half of the building itself. It's going to infiltrate, and ultimately any large storm events or larger than 100-year are going to be routed out towards Bourbon Road. We also have to treat the parking lot as well as the front which would be the west side of the apartments. That is all going to be directed to permeable pavement. So again, we're trying to infiltrate as much ground, or stormwater as we can here and get that into the ground, reduce runoffs out to Bourbon Road to alleviate flood concerns. But we are meeting all stormwater requirements as outlined in the village ordinance.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
All right, Seth?
All right, so the current zoning is MR 8 units per acre, which they already have more dwelling units that would fit on that lot, but I understand it's no development, new standards. As part of the PD, they're asking for following the zoning of MR 16 as the underlying base district. What if this was rezoned actually to MR 16 and not PD? What would they still be able to do? My assumption is if they met the MR 16 requirements and they met the setback requirements, it would probably mean less units in the building. Like, let's say they could fit 5 units and meet that 40-foot separation, not encroach on the hillside. I mean, that's the kind of way I'm looking at it when I talk about this PD zoning is, if we rezone the MR 16, they could do something potentially. Switching it to PD to relax these things again is asking for, we're getting something higher and better. We're getting better standards, we're getting better quality than they would otherwise do in exchange for that flexibility. That's the part I see.
I think part of that is because we're getting more housing, rather than, like you say, only 5 won't make it financially worth it. I know they can do it. But for 7, at least we're getting a couple more people in town. We don't have any, we talked about this with St. Francis, we have no affordable housing really in Cross Plains. And I'm hoping that that's what this is about, is more affordable housing. They went up and down Main Street. Where do you want an apartment on Main Street? Sarah, most people don't want more apartments on Main Street. I don't know where else we can put more apartments in our town. I don't know where it is.
You don't have
Okay,
to
hold
speak for me, I didn't say anything about Main Street.
But,
All right.
yeah.
So Judy, then it's Kevin.
Yeah, looking at the flexibilities, the fourth building, I don't seem to have a problem with, and it does seem to make sense to have a building there. I do have concerns about the setback changes or requirements, or, the building that went in to the east, they made their setbacks, I'm sure, or, they should be, made known that the setback might be less going toward the new apartments to the east. The 40-foot separation between buildings down to 10 feet, I'm sure that's a fire issue. Has the fire department been contacted about this?
Yes. Yeah, the 40-foot separation is more of the sort of character of spreading out buildings on a lot. The 10-foot fire separation can be accommodated as long as they have the appropriate firewalls.
We assume that would be required.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they can't get a building.
Okay, I'm gonna have another question. Sorry, parking, it says in your memo that it's supposed to be in garage, and I haven't quite figured out in garage or underneath, right? Yeah, in garage underneath. But then the next sentence says that it's gonna be on, at grade. Is this? I don't understand that statement. Could you maybe explain that to me?
Sure.
First part of page 3, parking must be provided.
That could have been written more clearly by me into a flexibility, a noted flexibility that they are providing the quantity of parking stalls that are required, but the code requires that those parking spaces be provided in a garage or under. So it's just that flexibility, which is not anything unusual. There's surface parking across the village.
But for me, it does make a fifth flexibility. Thank you for the explanation. And then the hillside protection, I looked at it too. It does look man-made, and I just really worry about precedent when it comes to hillside. And okay, we let it go here, and we're gonna let it go there. So if it happens, I just want to be clear that we need to be very explicit about why we think it should happen. The hillside issue. Those are my thoughts on it.
Anybody else would like to comment on this? All right, just so everybody has an understanding, and hopefully I have the right understanding. No matter how this vote goes, it'll be still going to the board.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure everybody here understands the process on this. Oh, Sonia?
Just for process as well, plan development zoning is implemented in generally a 4-step process. We're at the GDP step, which is what it establishes the land use generally speaking, and it discusses these flexibilities from the base zoning district. There is a step after this that the plan commission and the board will also see, and that is the precise implementation plan. And that gives you the precise or very specific details of the development. So for example, we have not seen yet the building architecture. So at that next step, they would provide elevations. Landscaping is another piece that we would see in the future as well.
Go ahead, Judy.
So that'd be second step. What is 3 and 4 and 3 steps?
So step one is pre-application meeting with staff. They've been coming to staff meetings for almost a year now. Concept review with the plan commission is step 2, and they attended that in February here with the plan commission. This is step 3, general development plan, and then step 4 is the process. Yeah.
Any other questions on the process? Go ahead, Bill.
So what is the motion?
The motion is to accept the GDP that was given to you for 100 Pine Meadow Court. That is what the motion on the table. So I'm gonna end discussion and we're gonna do a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Commissioner Johnson,
No.
Commissioner Thusius,
No.
Commissioner Brochus,
No.
Commissioner Francois,
No.
Trustee Kettlebaiter,
Yes.
and Village President Langfeld.
Yes. So it failed, so this will move to the board and they will know that it failed the planning commission. All right, number 3. Discussion and possible action, conditional use permit for 1837 Ludden Drive, Cedar Glen Apartments. We will be doing the same thing, taking it in 2 phases. First phase will be the public hearing. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Make a motion to open the public hearing for the conditional use permit for 1837 Bum Drive.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any discussion? Bill?
Were the residents of London Drive, both addresses notified of the public meeting, public hearing? Does anyone?
I know it was noticed in the paper. I can say that for sure.
Public hearing notice was issued and notification of residents within the 100-foot radius of the property were all provided notification of tonight's meeting.
The residents of that property were notified?
That's a question on the property.
It's the owners that have to, property owners.
Right, that's what I'm asking. Did the property owners notify the tenant? But we don't know the.
No, but that's not ordinance. I just want to
No, I
clarify.
understand
Okay,
that.
all right.
This is discussion, I'm just,
Right, no, I just want to I'm trying to make sure, because there is a,
I understand
An
that. I
ordinance
totally
part.
understand that. Okay.
so I take it, your representative,
Yeah,
were the residents notified?
they haven't been notified because we don't have approval or anything from the village. So
Okay,
Okay, then.
any other discussion?
So I just wanna, I had taken some notes, so the last property we talked about, that was planned development. And this terrace in Cedar Glen is request for conditional use permit.
Correct.
Being different, okay.
Yes. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the same?
Aye.
All right. So we're in public hearing now. Would you like to come up and make a statement? Can you make sure the mic is on and say your name and where you live, please?
Hi, I'm Christine O'Dell. And I live at 1837 Leadville Drive with my two boys that are actually here in attendance to the meeting tonight. And I am wondering why none of the residents at 1841 and 1837 were notified of this public hearing. I didn't get an email. I didn't see any notification anywhere on the property. And when I do live on a property, and I love living where I'm at, I feel like I'm also a guardian of the property. So I'm just wondering why we didn't get any notification of this, for this. I mean, I talked to some of my other neighbors. They were also uninformed of tonight's meeting.
And you live in the
I
apartment?
do,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
I've been there for 2 years. I'm actually been a resident of the village of Cross Plains for 4 years. I love living here and I want to keep Cross Plains, Cross Plains. I don't want to turn Cross Plains into a Madison. I moved out of Madison specifically for, well, there's a lot of reasons, but I absolutely love living here. So I want to keep it Cross Plains. But I'd like to know why we weren't informed.
Our ordinance says property owners
Mhm.
are notified, so we would not notify residents of apartments. That would be the responsibility of the owner to do that.
Correct,
what-
well, they can notify us when our rents are being raised.
I don't want to defend or anything. I'm just you're asking why the village did not notify you.
Yeah, I am.
And we're follow state statute and ordinance, which says we have to notify owners within 100 feet of someone asking for a conditional use.
I
That's
didn't
what,
see any notification within 100 feet.
because you're not an owner.
Okay,
So that's the reason.
okay. Well, I'd also like to be, to point out that I've had 3 outstanding maintenance issues for the past year that have not been addressed or fixed, but they can go ahead and build 10 new units.
Again, we are not part of that. That is something you'll need to work with the owners, and there's avenues.
What are the avenues?
Well, I would go to the tenant resource center. I'm not familiar with tenant landlord law, but there are resources out there that can fill you in. The tenant resource center would be where I would start. That is what I can tell you.
And I have the pictures of the things that have not been fixed in my apartment for the past year.
You understand, we can't,
I understand that. but
I'm
as
sorry
a
about that, but
concerned
we
citizen
can't
of
help that.
Cross Plains, of the village of Cross Plains, I feel like this affects all of the people that live in my apartment complex.
it could be.
Brian,
It
is this
is.
something that would, is this something where a resident who's a renter could contact, however we did, however people contact the village office or like properties that aren't taken care of, stuff like that? Is that something that?
Can I chime in, because I'm the director for Banyan, I don't have any work requests, so if you have something in our system, I just pulled your information up, there's nothing in the system.
It's in there. And I just want to say that Kevin's amazing. Anytime I've ever had an issue with anything, like I had a mouse in my garage, he was there within the hour setting up traps. So I hope that you appreciate Kevin.
Our Kevin?
No.
Oh.
Kevin,
Oh, I'm sorry.
You have to-
What about you?
Well, that's true.
I was thinking you would do that. Sorry, you were saying Kevin, I better.
The property thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
okay.
amazing. So I really do hope that you appreciate his.
I do,
presence
but it
there.
sounds like you're not happy with his maintenance work. So
That's not what I'm saying.
I think if you have comments on what the conditional use is, this would be the appropriate place for that. If you and the landlord have concerns, I would set up a meeting and see if you can work something out with them.
That would be wonderful.
All right.
If it requires,
It's a dead end street, and I know I'm not 100 feet from the property, but no one on Ludden got any notification.
from the property line of the,
Right, but I'm just saying it is a dead end street, and so a lot of traffic comes from the rentals on, at the end of Ludden. People think that if you go up the road, that's why my neighbor across the street had a dead end. It just would have been nice for people who own property on Ludden to know. I don't know that anyone got any notification either.
not beyond the radius of what
Yeah.
touches that 100 foot.
Yeah.
But it's going back to the point that you were making, if there is an issue like that, I can look into our village ordinances. I mean, when there are issues regarding any kind of like an ordinance complaint or property maintenance related issues, sometimes those things are things that can be handled by the village. I mean, I would encourage you to try to resolve that first and foremost with the property manager. It's not something that normally the village gets involved with, but given the circumstances, if you need me to assist in looking into it, I can happily try calling and, you know, see what resources we can point you to.
Thank you, Ryan.
Mhm.
Anything else?
I guess I just wanted to be a voice for the people that live where I live. Not everyone that wanted to attend this evening could be here. But I certainly know that they would probably be. I can't speak for everybody, obviously, but I do know that I spoke to a few people and they were not made aware of tonight's meeting. So I feel, I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with me, that's all. I pay my rent every month on time, even ahead of time. And I love where I live and I want to keep living there. And like I said, I want to keep it Cross Plains.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak at the public hearing? All right. Is there anybody on,
Just double check. No hands.
all right, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll move to close the hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. So move. All right, we're on second phase. It's discussion and possible action regarding CUP for 1837 London Drive. Do I have a motion? Seth?
I'll make it. Well, no, actually. I was gonna ask a question.
Do what?
I was gonna ask a question. I forgot we had to make a motion first.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the action regarding CUP 1837 London Drive.
Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second. We're at discussion. Seth, go ahead, ask a question.
I just asked, I guess, Sonia, to speak a little bit more, just because there were the plans were not actually included in the packet, if there were any floor plans or anything that showed, so I was just trying to get an understanding of how exactly they're adding these 10 units and where. It seemed like they're converting storage at the bottom levels. My ex used to live in that complex, so I'm sort of familiar. But it wasn't clear from the information in the packet, so I just wanted a little.
I'll let Sonia. go ahead.
So for that level of detail, I don't have the plans open, I can dig them up and see if I can answer that more specifically, but my understanding is that they're generally basement spaces right now, whether that's storage or how they're exactly being used, I'm not 100% familiar, but they are converting unused, currently not habited basement spaces to these additional 10 dwelling units.
I don't think they're basements, they're garages and storage areas is what they were originally.
It's garden level. So in the center of the complex, I'm Candace again with Banyan. The center of the complex was actually, first, they were offices. Nobody wants offices. Nobody wants underground storage anymore. So it's just an empty space. So we're converting those, and we're also proposing to take the underground parking away and add additional 1 bedrooms on the outside. And additionally, we're adding and grading for additional surface lot parking, but we also have underground parking in building 41. That makes sense? Because there's 2 buildings, 37 and building 41. 41 has the underground parking. We go through that hallway and go down the mains, and that's where we have storage. And then in 37, there was offices at one time. Everyone's obviously left there and two last year. So essentially, all that space is just sitting there.
So the additional units, you'll meet the requirement for the underground parking? Like you're gonna add 10 units and then how much addition, like?
So we're adding surface parking, and we're the underground parking, which is separate. is remaining.
So no additional underground parking, back to that earlier verbiage that we have about parking requirements. That's on-
So the underground parking is there, we're not touching the underground parking. That's,
I hear what you're saying, are you adding additional underground spots to accommodate for the additional? tenant?
no, the building wouldn't, we can't jack an entire 3 stories up to put underground parking. That would be-
So how many spaces do you need to add?
I don't have to
Or
add any
tenants.
spaces, I'm adding surface parking spots.
Does that meet our,
They meet the quantity of parking required for the total number of units.
what about our verbiage that says underground garage?
I don't have
Or garage?
the exact number of garage spaces that they have.
And help me, Sonia, I think the zoning for that underground that you're referring to is new buildings. I don't
Oh, for
think,
the garage and under.
the underground parking, we would not ask somebody to put underground parking on an existing
It's-
building.
The garages are underground, and is that still just for new builds?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Like you say, it's 284 pages. I don't have it memorized, but I think it's for new buildings, not,
Not existing.
yeah, that,
Taking the approach that you wouldn't penalize the building that is already there. It says
So
that
they
it's-
wouldn't need to have like either above ground garages or nothing, they don't have.
We
to
have, we do have above.
Right, but I mean, and it's for the 10 units.
Correct.
They don't have to, and then just from the resident standpoint, like what can the residents expect, like how is this addition gonna increase? Like, how are the current residents gonna be absorbing the cost?
The current residents wouldn't absorb the cost, but
Of
they
adding.
loan out to do it. And then, no, it's a fair question, the new tenants coming in would offset the owner's investment. That makes sense.
Yeah, I just would hate to see the people that live there a long time experience like a really high increase in rent.
It wouldn't, we wouldn't, it would be the new tenants coming in that would pay the market. For it.
I will say that as a homeowner on Lemon Drive, there were problems with that property and, like, you know, they have pets there, and for a long time, there were people up and down Lemon Drive, their dogs would no one would pick it up, but something was mentioned to them a couple of years ago, and that was significantly improved.
Not sure if that's our property, we have a neighbor to it.
It's all, yeah, there's like.
if that's a village wide,
But
but
in
we've
general,
really made an effort, what was that, 2 years ago?
Well, good, because
Yeah.
we've really enforced.
We made a big effort.
So what I like about this one as opposed to the other one is this is not disrupting existing land. It's just working with what's already there and giving 10 new units instead of 5 or 7. That's more appealing to me as far as my definition.
Kevin?
Yeah, I just wanna, process wise, a question. So we approved the conditional use permit, let's say today. Is that done? What's the next step? Does it come back to the
No,
plan?
actually, to be honest with you, the process was changed a couple years ago. Where, huh?
I would have been there, yeah.
Well, yeah, you would have with Andy, he's one that wanted it, where the conditional use permits actually
Oh, right.
go to the board now. We are supposed to be just a conceptual review and let them know if there's problems, because technically this public hearing should have been at the board, because if there's a challenge, it's some quasi judicial process where the other side can bring their cases and stuff. So, but you're right, 2 years ago, it would have ended here. But now we've moved it to where it goes to the board. So we're more of again, it's a recommendation.
Then my question on this is for Sonia, right? Does this, as presented to you, meet this conditional use permit, meet all of our requirements without flexibilities or without any other variances?
It does, yes.
Thank you.
Bill,
We've got a couple questions.
go ahead.
So I thought when I was on the village board, this was an issue that came up with who is going to be the authorizing group to say this, and we moved it from the village board to planning, because I thought that was.
No, you're missing the state. Let me help you with that. The state made a was the one that made a statute that the plan commission
Right.
had sole control, just like police commission with hiring.
Right,
That was challenged and it was changed. And then the board, because at first it went to plan because of state statute. And then the board decided to bring it back when that was changed.
it was changed from at the state
I
level,
think someone challenged it,
at the state level,
yeah.
okay, all right, I missed that, it was my gap with not.
Yeah, no, you're right. There was a time period where the plan commission did everything, a very short period of time. But then, something changed. I believe it was a lawsuit or, I don't know what exactly happened,
Yeah,
but it flipped back where you have an option.
okay, but that's fair,
And then we chose, the board chose to keep it at the board.
that's what I would have done too, so, but regardless, so. Are there drawings of what you're planning on doing and what that looks like? Because
Yeah.
again, I really couldn't make that tell what the packet, so. I was hoping I'd get that explained a little bit.
Why don't you go ahead? I,
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt. So I did provide it to Brian.
If you want to kind of step up and talk in the mic, that would be awesome.
So I did provide it to Brian. I just didn't attach the 700 pages because it probably wouldn't be enough. So he,
It was a huge.
if they're huge,
blueprint.
so we did provide them.
Right, but that doesn't help me. I mean, that doesn't.
I think they explained it. They're taking office space, storage room and garages and converting them into,
Right, okay, well, I got that.
okay.
What I don't understand is what that looks like in the apartment complex. I don't know what converting a storage room and basement spaces or whatever into apartments. I don't know what that looks like, but you're looking at a top view of the current apartment.
Can you go to, one of the staff meetings?
Yeah.
They had, I think,
You're on the-
when did you come to the staff meeting with your conceptual plan?
A year ago? Or the second one?
Well, yeah, wasn't that just
No,
recently?
There
Let
was
me,
another
let me go
working
back and see if I can.
There, yeah, I mean,
One of the first windows, like, you want to see.
When you're driving
Yes,
down,
I do.
turn
Just-
in relation to that, house,
That's
that's
right.
it's that,
Yeah,
that garage, yes.
Jay, plan commission really, we don't have any business looking at these plans.
you're, for a conditional
For conditional
use,
use permit.
you're, that's
As
what
long as
I'm,
they, as long as they meet our own ordinances, state law,
Correct.
whatever. We're just approving the conditional use permit.
correct.
The board may see more, or if they have to see more, state inspector will see more.
That is
So I don't
absolutely,
know why we're looking at it.
well, because I guess members are interested in, and it, I've seen them.
That's a valid point. You're right.
Did that garage flood and stuff like in that area, since we're talking about it, it's so low?
the grading was approved. We've never had.
No, I'm just wondering, like back in 2018, was that,
I have no insurance policy claims against it, so I would assume no. Just. 'cause
There you go. There you go.
It would go straight down.
So that's what they look like to the left, and that's what it looked like to the right.
And you can't see that from the road. You have to enter the property.
Okay, so are those, so is that storage, that garage over on?
It's a combination.
So that's a garage on the outside left. Internally, you can't see the storage units. You'd have to access
Right,
the home.
so that's, so the one on the top left, is that 41 then?
They look identical, 41 and 37, so I don't know what plan that one specifically is. It looks like 804, so I'm gonna go with 41 from here from looking at these plans so many times, but they look exactly the same on both sides.
So you're not taking away, so there is underground parking in both locations, right? And you're not taking any of the underground parking away?
I'm taking the garage parking, there's additional underground parking on the right side of 41 that has a large garage door that people can drive into, which we've offered it to several tenants and nobody's really taking it.
In the wintertime, nobody wants underground? And
Well, I sent a survey out and everything to the entire community, everybody said they wanted it and nobody responded. Many of my garages stay vacant for several months out of the year.
okay,
maybe it's the cost, okay, just extra.
I mean, those are heated when we provide the electric, so it has to make sense. On the top level of the property, we have additional unheated garages that people do.
They're all in the back.
Yep, but I have several vacant garages. This is part of the reason that we initiated this and the storage.
So
okay.
that's what it looks like. All right, so any other discussion? All right, let's do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Thusis,
Yes.
Commissioner Francois,
Yes.
Commissioner Brochus.
Yes.
Okay, trustee Kittlebitter
Yes.
and village president Langfeld.
Yes. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. All right, item number 4. Discussion village, affordable housing. Brian, this is yours.
Okay, so as I've been, over the last few months here at the Plan Commission, I've been kind of reviewing and bringing some ideas, some, concepts that the Dane County Regional Housing Strategy has been discussing, related to affordable housing opportunities and how we can advance affordable housing within Dane County. They asked me to look at ways that we could do this locally within Cross Plains. One of the things I wanted to look at and started about reviewing was just what our current village comprehensive plan calls for within the area of affordable housing within the village. The section that was provided in the packet, which I'll scan down to here for your benefit, spoke to looking into and or seeking out avenues such as the community development block grant program to help serve as a rehabilitation program and loan program to single family housing within the village limits. I reached out to Dane County, got some information, or actually one of the representatives that is local, and I'm playing phone tag right now with Dane County to get a little bit more about their program and how it's administered. But some of the information I can give you related to the response I received about it, the community development block grant. These funds are loaned to income eligible residents at 0% interest. They're deferred payment loans. Residents wouldn't pay anything back until they sell their home. The community development block grant helps fund upgrades that individuals, homeowners have pending in inspection of their property, and the money can be utilized for things such as new roofing, maintenance, repairs within HVAC systems, any plumbing, electrical work that's needed within the home. So it's another opportunity, another avenue that the village could seek as a means for ensuring that homes that are a little bit older within the village currently remain in good standing and good availability for future residents to move in as people phase out of that housing, move. Those homes are attractive. They are at a good price point given their age, and can appeal to a wider variety of buyers in the future. So again, I didn't have a lot of time to look into whether or not the village has pursued this in the past, or if the village has utilized this program or any other program similar in nature. But since that was one of the first recommendations found within the village comprehensive plan, as outlined, and we're going to be talking more and more about that in the coming months, I just wanted to see what the commission's thoughts were on possibly looking into that as another avenue or something to keep researching as a viable option for the village. This is more for discussion purposes. Yeah.
Seth?
I admittedly didn't have a chance to dig through those things. Do you know if there are any big restrictions or things on those block grants, like amounts or value of properties or anything like that?
There is a median household income threshold that is established for residents to see if they may qualify. It is intended to be for lower income homeowners. I didn't have an opportunity, unfortunately, without being able to connect to the Dane County rep to be able to tell you what the thresholds are right now, unfortunately.
I have Sarah, then Bill.
that be something where it might be nice to have someone from Dane County, one of the reps come and talk to us about it, just to give us a person
Certainly ask and see if they do that kind of, yeah,
from
or
like the
join.
seniors in town and senior, like I can
Mhm.
see it being really great. And also have a like pretty heavy lift with administration.
Yeah.
Of the program, so I guess I would wanna, I don't know, if they're open to doing something like that.
Sure, I can check.
Bill?
So is this limited to senior housing or
Nope.
does, or is it just?
It's income and it's income contingent, but primarily for single family residences. Yeah,
Okay, because I just saw, in addition to facilitating development proposals for senior housing, it also helps free up older homes and new generation. So that's what I was just asking.
from what I could tell, it looks like the program, there are avenues where landlords could apply for a property on behalf of residents that might primarily fall within those income thresholds, but that's, I didn't unfortunately get an opportunity to speak to them to get to know that, so.
I guess my comments, I don't have a problem with researching enough to know what kind of wording we'd like to put in this comprehensive plan. I would not want to start moving forward with the project. I think the village is overwhelmed right now with projects, so we do not need another one on the plate. So I think for this comprehensive plan, and as a recommendation, I do believe we should get the facts and understand it a little more.
Okay.
But to actually start applying for one and that, I'm just not, it's just too much right now.
Okay, no problem.
Judy?
That's pretty much gonna do it, because we know your plate is really full, so if there was someone from the staff to do this, I won't want it to be you. Because you what we know, we've already been there, so we know you're too full, so unless you could give this to somebody else to do more research on it at the moment, your plate is full. Yes, much more.
You know, just get an idea, because it seems like a great thing, but it's comes with a lot of work. It looks
Yeah,
like-
absolutely,
Which would be great, and I
absolutely.
think it would benefit, you know, I think of seniors, and I also think of like single parent homes.
Mhm.
But, you know, a lot of our housing is lost beat, or not lost, I don't mean to say it that way, but like families that split up and like. Parents have two homes where it used to be more one home, right? And so
Exactly.
there's all- and
Yeah.
then it might be a great opportunity to keep people in town. But let's, if we can find out more.
Yeah, we clearly need that. I just, I think we're all in agreement that we need to do a better understanding, so when we put it into the plan, we know
Sure.
exactly what we're putting in, and then that's something we can do down the road for implementation.
No, absolutely. This is just preliminary research and where you want me to go with it.
Bill?
One of the things we talked about was, having a higher density within the area, so we did that over St. Francis over there. So I don't know how much was full for, or what was that? Did that experiment work? Or-
Well, in my opinion, I thought here's what happened. I thought it was going to work. I had language in the development agreement that limited how many lots a tract company, a home tract building company could buy, because I thought and we made an effort, if you remember, to make small lots. We lowered the square footage all the way down to 1,000 square feet. So the plan was, and even the very original plan, they have some condos and stuff, was to have housing that first-time homeowners could afford, seniors who wanted to downsize could, and single-parent homes, like exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's attorneys a lot smarter than me, and they were able to find a loophole in the agreement that was able to bypass that rule. So that's how basically Meridian ended up buying all the lots. I learned my lesson, and we will do that the next time around. We'll try it again, because I think everybody in this room recognizes we need to have that housing stock that, if we can, is the 350 and lower. And it could be condos, it could be single family, smaller homes. So we're still working, it. That is still, I think, a priority of the board.
Okay.
But like I say, we thought we had it at Creek Crossing, and you remember when Creek Crossing was presented us by the parish group.
Right,
That was outstanding. And, I wish we could have, but, you know, all that, they didn't take into consideration the diocese, and then they stepped in, and then we got the LLC. It just went down, in my opinion, it kind of went downhill in the control part, and the goals that we had set out, I don't know if we
But we
really made,
were.
and there's nothing wrong with it, but those houses, I think, are going for 400 to 500,000.
really?
Yeah, and they're selling. If you go down there, Conrad, I just walked there this weekend. I think there's only 5 or 6 open lots of the original 42 that they purchased.
And a lot of them that are under construction are already sold.
Yeah, you go in the windows and you see that, yeah. So there's a demand for that too, and we're still getting it. So I don't wanna, that's a good thing too, but to answer your question, yes, we thought Creek Crossing was going to be that housing niche
Right.
of smaller homes, smaller price, to let people start and for people to downsize. Yeah. So that's where we're at with that. So I guess, Brian, the answer is go ahead and continue to get a better understanding. And I think when we get to that part of the comprehensive plan, I think it's a good idea to bring an expert in, and they can talk about, you know, the positives and maybe the steps that need to happen.
Okay, sounds good.
Does that seem fair to everybody? Makes sense?
Great.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Brent.
Yeah. All right, where did I put my agenda? Okay, yes, all right, thank you. So number 5, discussion, village comprehensive plan, chapter 8, and that was mine. So, what we need to do in the future is we need to get a, this in a Word document so people can actually make changes to the Word. Originally, you can see I just scribbled on all of this. Then I made notes on it to present, and then I decided, no, everybody's gonna get lost in it. So I typed up my notes, and that's what you have right here. I don't think in this chapter there's anything that is overwhelming. It's really pretty much an update, but I'd like to go through what I came up with as changes. And then if there's a big heartache or different wording, we can do it again. This is just part of the draft. There will be another opportunity, but just to get started. So I've already changed I did it by page. So if you go to page 121, there's the box in the right corner. Point 3, I said to remove, but what I'm suggesting is we make it read renew intergovernmental agreements, plural, for area townships, instead of just saying with town of Cross Plains. I don't know why they picked out. We have agreements with the town of Cross Plains, the town of Berry, and the town of Spring Green, which you'll see later on. So my recommendation is just make that more general.
Feel.
Springfield.
Oh, what did I say?
Spring Green.
Oh, I'm way off on that.
That's a commute.
Yeah, I can understand why you didn't understand that one. That's a big jump. All right, so that's what I had for my first change on this page. Then you go down,
Page 121.
yeah, I'm still on 121, and you can see,
It's about.
yep. Under the town of Cross Plains, I keep the first sentence and I get rid of everything else in the first paragraph.
I'm sorry, where are you?
Page 121.
121, under Village of Cross Plains intergovernmental relationships.
Yeah.
Maps we're gonna save separately until we get this all done. But it says Town of Cross Plains, under that section. And it says the Town of Cross Plains is located south of the village. Keep that. Everything else in that paragraph is 20 years, 22 years old. And that study has been done, and I mentioned it later on. So I would get rid of all of that, move the second paragraph up, and then add a second paragraph. I'm not clear why they talked about the fire district agreement and not the EMS agreement. Yeah, it's weird. So I did the same language, but I put in EMS, so we just add that. Make sense? Okay, then, under town of Berry, again, I get rid of all of that, because it's dated. And I just put in, I keep the first sentence, you know, town of Berry is located to the north of the village. Then I put in the EMS, the EMS stuff after you move up the fires agreement statement. So it's the same statement for the town of Cross Plains as the town of Berry. So you have the fire district agreement plus the EMS agreement listed in there.
And the, also strike found approval in 2016.
Yeah, I got rid of that whole paragraph. I'm not sure why we care about that. And it's stated, they chose to pull out of the regional planning, they were one of 16. Okay, that's not us, that's the town of Berry. So I didn't know why that was in there, but anyways, I removed it. So that brings us to page 122. Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, just wondering why we bring up Black Earth Creek watershed under intergovernmental. It's not a government. We do talk about Dane County and the Black Earth Creek Resource Area Plan. If that's the case, we should put that under Dane County. But,
Okay, can we wait till we get there?
okay, we are there.
Middleton.
No, I'm at Middleton.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, that's all right.
It's hard to read.
All right, so now we're on page 122. So we have the Middleton, so we're gonna change a couple things. They now have 7,300 students instead of 7,000 students. And they have 7 elementary schools instead of 6, so I've changed that. I leave that the same, but then since we're putting agreements in there, I put in this paragraph that the school district in the village has an agreement in place and a police officer in Glacier Creek Middle School under the district school resource officer program.
Everything I wrote down, you wrote down.
Go ahead, Bill.
So so the district nearly serves 7,300, 7,800 students, whatever the case.
7,300.
300, okay. I mean, that number is going to be fluctuating each and every year. So is it even relative to put that number in there? I mean, number of schools is important,
Okay.
but is the number, I'm just asking, is the number?
I just took what was there and I updated it.
I'm just,
So,
I know,
yeah, if you want to remove it, I'm fine with that. Sarah?
What I would like, maybe not the exact number, but I think it's important to think of the percentage of residents that fall under.
Oh, I'm good with
You
that.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so
no, that
there's
makes
the
sense.
20 estimated 28, like, just maybe some sort of a general.
Well, that's
statement.
population and I didn't have time to add because I don't know the districts.
Right,
So I'm guessing it's the number, that number's a little higher.
right, like what.
So that's gonna
percentage of-
change every year too.
Yeah,
But this is at the time of the plan, I don't, like I said,
Yeah, you could say at the time of this writing, 30% of
That's
the residents or
whatever.
whatever.
right.
But I think
It's
it's.
just, I mean, that would just always be dated and
yeah, well, the population's always gonna be.
that's true too.
So with the
So,
SRO.
Every 10 years.
Go ahead, Seth.
So in that existing paragraph, the next sentence, we need to, not only the 7 schools, but the elementary schools are now K4. We have a 4K program. The middle schools are now 5 to 8.
They are.
Oh, good catch.
So I don't
Yeah,
know how you wanna note the 4K because that's done.
I'll just add that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good catch. I totally forgot about
And
that.
then there's the sentence, the last sentence in this Middleton Cross Plains School District part, you didn't make a comment on that,
I haven't got there yet.
no.
We're talking about the
it's not
high
on-
school?
Yeah, but that's
No.
not even on your, it's not on your,
No, because I was going, the things that I thought were changed, that is a neutral thing that I was gonna have majority vote. But let's just stay, does everybody agree that population's in, but then the students should be percentage of the population, or do we just keep, I want some,
That might be hard
Or you could just say at the time of this, right, you know, because
Okay,
we
let's-
all know it changes, right?
Right, so let's just do that. We'll put the date, then update it at that date.
Sure.
Okay, all right, good. Now, we've got to, everybody agree that we put the SRO language in there, because that is an agreement.
Would we include the more detail about like the cross plan space 50%?
No.
Just leave that out.
Yeah, because all the other ones are just general, that there's an agreement. Let's not get into the details, because those are gonna change.
Technically, does the SRO also cover the elementary schools? Isn't there something about the elementary schools in those agreements?
Well, they're supposed to do liaison to them, but
Mostly at the.
It's mostly, I know when they
yeah.
mention stuff about their.
Yeah, they do reach out and that's part of it. They have later, but again, I don't want to get into the details, you know, because it changes. Okay, so we're good with that? All right, then the last sentence, and like I say, this was a very hot issue when they were talking about adding on to the middle school in the first. And I guess part of me says, yes, if they're gonna build a second high school, it would logically should be in Cross Plains, and if that's what we believe, we should state that, because then we have to look in our land use where that high school might be, right? And plan for that. On the other hand, if we're going to wait and it may turn out where the second high school is, let's say, somewhere on Airport Road or Mineral Point Road. You know, I don't know, what do you guys want to do with this? I left this in because I know it was such a hot issue, and I think it's a logical thing. If we're even thinking about it, that needs to be part of land use planning.
What if you just got rid of the last 6 words to be located across Plains? The village is interested in discussing a school district about additional high school for the district, period.
I like that, no, but I think for the land use piece.
Yeah.
Keep that.
You don't want to keep it, I mean, if we're gonna do, I mean, that,
We only need it pertains to us. I mean.
Yeah. but I hear what he's saying, that would just, I mean, you could imply that we're discussing to bring it to Cross Plains. But again, and it doesn't, I believe we have to at least think about it. If we were gonna have a high school, where would we think of putting it? And that's gotta be part of our plan.
Would
So,
that also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Seth and then Sarah.
Nowhere else in this section do we basically make a recommendation or say what we want to do. Everything else in this particular section seems to be what we have. Like, it's describing the agreement.
Well, that's not gonna be the case. The last, under local issues, it's actually talking something similar to that.
Well, I'm talking about, so just the part under the heading, the Village of Cross Plains intergovernmental relationships.
Oh,
Later on, we get into goals, objectives, and policies where we talk about what we want to do.
Yeah, okay,
So
gotcha.
I'm just saying, maybe a statement, if there's a statement such as this, should it be in the next section, like on the bottom of page 122, page 123, et cetera, where we're
As
talking
an
about
objective?
what we want to do, rather than, because
No.
nothing else in here says, well, we're interested in doing this.
Okay.
I don't, as someone who was on the long range planning committee that unfortunately expanded the high school to 3,000 student capacity, that's a ship that has sailed for a while, in my opinion. If we want it and we want to put a statement in here somewhere, that's fine. I just, in the lifespan of this document for the next 10 years, I don't think it's gonna go there.
Well, I'm gonna disagree a little bit. Sun Prairie was of the same thought and they added on to their high school, and within 10 years.
They planned for that.
Well, it was somewhat of a
It
plan.
was planned from the beginning, when they built a new high school, they knew they were gonna have to build another high school. And when they built that high school, it was only 10, 12, because they knew it wasn't gonna have the capacity 5, 8 years down the line.
Well, okay, anyways, with the growth that's going on, I'm not so sure that this discussion won't happen in the next 10 years. Now, will it be one built? Absolutely not, but I believe there will be a discussion on that when you're talking, but go ahead,
Well,
Sarah.
I was just kind of in line with that. wondering if we wanted to even broaden the verbiage to just say there are ongoing discussions about high school and additional facilities, because there's talk about an ice rink and there's talk about like all these things that there could be other facilities that belong to the district and we would want to welcome them perhaps in Cross Plains, or at least encourage them.
Well, then I think, yeah. And I don't know if it's a record, it says discussions, and I agree with you that we could add additional high school and other district facilities for the district to be located in Cross Plains. I think that's a legitimate thing.
Just that we are open to
No.
that discussion.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, Seth, on that, but I think it's under the school district, it'd be easier to find. I think it could get lost under the objective side of it.
But all of our other, I mean.
Yeah,
we have
I-
objectives about the town of Cross Plains and the town of Berry, and all
Yeah.
those other things we already mentioned. And that, it just seemed out of place to me that
Okay,
that's the one spot that we say, well, this is what we wanna do, where all the other objectives and stuff are in the next section.
okay.
That's what I was.
What are other people's feelings?
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, what you guys just came to, which was, our recommendation really in this plan is to have a discussion. It's not to put a school up.
Right,
Because we'd have to have that discussion 5-10 years before doing any sort of,
Yeah.
having any sort of school. This, comp plan is good for, is it 5?
10,
Yeah, good for 10 years. I mean, in that 10 years, we should have a discussion, even if the answer is no, or not now,
Yeah.
or never. The discussion should be had.
so you think it should stay at the, where it's at, or?
Yeah, I
move?
think it's fine if it stays where it's at. I don't know. If we say it twice, fine, we can say it in the objectives too.
Yeah,
It's actually on policy number 6. Right now, it says work with Middleton Cross Plains to meet demand for a new high school in the village.
I say we could include and or other district facilities.
yeah, I'll add that.
Broad for-
Okay, so it's already there, so let's just keep it as this is written, and, you know, I'll make those changes. All right, so we're good with the school district, now the Black Earth Creek watershed. Before we talk about moving it somewhere else, let me just make the changes so we're not getting confused, so. The first paragraph stays. All right. The second paragraph I get rid of. Cause this is talking about the county completing blah, blah, blah. It's completed that. All right, so it would be replaced because there's another study that was done. So that paragraph would be removed, and then the paragraph that I wrote would be, there were 2 major plans developed for the Black Earth Creek watershed. One, the Black Earth Creek Resource Area Plan. That's the one they were referring to, was being studied in 2004. And the Black Creek Watershed Infrastructure Plan, and that came after the flooding for 2022. The village will work with the final results of both plans to ensure that the needs of all stakeholders involved are met. And then what I'm saying is both these plans should be put into our website, the village website, and then links from this report, from our comprehensive report, to the website, so people can read those and see what the results were. Bill?
So in the 2024 budget, Dane County is giving $1.5 million to the Black Earth Creek restoration. Are you aware of that?
Well, I know there was money, I don't know where it's going.
1.5 million.
Yeah.
And so what they're planning on doing in 2024 is removing trees and, basically removing trees and making areas for recreation within the Black Earth Creek. Is the village part of that at all, or is that all outside of the village?
Well, I don't know exactly what that includes, but we are getting $250,000 towards a multi-purpose trail that's going through the village.
But that's different than, well,
I know the infrastructure, and I don't know, we're getting supposedly money for FEMA to do some flood mitigation on the east side. I don't know if the county's part of that or not. You're gonna have, we don't know. And I guess I'm not sure why that matters for this.
because you're saying that it's done, And I don't think that it is. I think.
If the plans are done, you can pull them up on the internet and read them. I read both of them. They're done. You're talking about funding to probably try to do some of the infrastructure that they're recommending.
Could be. I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, pull up
Isn't that
the,
statement needed though, the village will work with the final results of both plans.
I just copied that from the language that they use.
Would that speak to the?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, if we get money, then I don't know what the county is doing, but it was Carpsey that did the 2022 study.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Jay. We're talking about agencies here, and I'd like to change this, except I would add Dane County's Black Earth Creek Resource Area Plan and Carpsey's Black Earth Creek Watershed Infrastructure Plan, because, and
Oh,
then we would work with the parties, we don't work with them. Work with the final results, we work with partners to execute the results of the plan. We don't work with the results.
Sorry.
I just copied I'm just copying what the
I know.
experts said.
I know the experts were wrong.
Okay, I can make that change.
We're around 10 years.
The gateway was.
Yeah, they're focused on that trail a lot
Oh,
and
that's-
marketing of the area.
Correct.
All right.
So, well, just to kind of put a period into this, then I'll leave it. There's the Black Earth Creek Stream Restoration. This is a Dane County thing. Black Earth Creek was severely damaged in a large rain event and flooding that occurred in 2018 and 2019. Dane County's been working with local partners and landowners to find creative ways to help restore and stabilize the damaged stream banks, including a stream restoration project in the Black Earth Creek that flows through Walking Iron County Park and Lions Park in the village of Maysville. So maybe it doesn't affect us at all, and it's everything just west of here. I guess my question is,
That grant is west of here, the
Yeah.
250 is a different grant called park funding.
Yeah, okay.
So that's different.
okay, so I just was looking at what you have in chapter 8 versus what they're doing and making sure that they two are aligned. That's all.
Do you have the report? Or you just have what they're doing right now? The
I just-
report that I saw went basically from Middleton all the way through maybe Mazo. They had maps and everything.
Yeah, so this is Dane County site.
Oh, okay, that is I think they're doing part of the recommendations from the watershed
Okay,
infrastructure
So
plan.
adding Kevin's language about Dane County.
Yes, I will give the credits of where the reports are from.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, so then that would take care of it. Now, somebody who wanted to move the Black Earth.
No, your changes were great.
Oh, you're okay with leaving it where it's at?
Yeah, no, let's want to move it to page 121, where I thought it was.
Well, that's all under the same heading, so we're good. Okay, all right, Dane County, I made no changes.
I have a question. Do we need to say anything about the sheriff's department covering when our police aren't, or are we?
We don't have, that's not an agreement, that's state statute that they have to. Yeah. So then Dane County is general terms. State agency jurisdictions is just, there's really nothing to change. So then we go down to the bottom, with the goals, objectives and policies. Objective 1, I think we should remove. There is no existing. What I think what they're talking, there's two things. If we're talking about agreements in general, then we can leave this as is and change town of Cross Plains with townships. You know, we can leave it in if you want. This is referring to the agreement that we had in 2002, I believe, so I would remove it. So it's up to you on how you want to do that. We can, well, I guess I even said, I'm sorry. My first comment was to get rid of it. In my notes, I changed my mind and said, change it to townships.
What about, so the goals, well, before we get to objectives, so is the goal staying the same
Well, sure.
or is the goal changing?
I think it stays the same.
continue and maintain enhanced intergovernmental agreement, but you said we don't have any right now.
No, we have a bunch of them. We have the fire district, we have EMS, we have SROs. I don't know, do we have an actual agreement with the town of Middleton on their? Or is that was just a handshake?
Tourism.
Yeah, tourism
No, I
stuff.
think the chamber actually engaged with them on that.
Well, I know
Yeah,
they-
I don't.
Well, anyways,
Yeah,
this
that's
leaves
fair.
it open for us to do. We do have some agreements and we could have agreements in the future.
Okay,
So I think we should leave that. And it's very broad, so we can make arrangements with. The village of Black Earth and, you know, all kinds of things. So, and then, so one, I'm just gonna change to townships. That was my second preference. All right. Now, number two, this has been brought up a couple times. I didn't have the time. And maybe Sonia, you can help a little bit. It says coordinate with the town of Berry's transfer of development rights, TDR program to direct growth to the village. And I'm not really sure what that means.
Do you think it had anything to do with the Weber Hill?
No, I mean, the transfer of development rights is, I thought was run by the county, where the county pays a farmer money not to develop their property. That's how I kinda, do you, no, that's wrong? How does it go?
Well, if the property owner has the right to develop a new rural residence, for example, like a new single family home. They can sell that right to someone else. And thereby preserve that agricultural land in that location and direct development to a more dense area. So that goal is asking for just that, to transfer development rights from the town to the village. And the person who's buying that land use right pays that person and makes them whole. But the development goes to the urban area.
Yeah, and so in the town of Cross Plains, they have a sending and a receiving area. So their sending area are areas they want to see preserved agricultural mainly. And their agricultural areas are some areas that we may want to develop. For future, you know, subdivisions, home sites, ball fields, whatever it might be. If they sell development rights on those areas, we may not be able to develop in those areas in the future.
Okay.
And I will say that that's happening.
All right, so help me out. I would imagine we want to keep this as townships instead of just town of Berry.
Well, town of Berry actually has a TDR program.
Oh,
I'm sorry, town of Cross Plains has a TDR program. Town of Berry does not.
well, this says town of Berry.
So, well, I don't think they have it anymore.
Oh, you don't?
You?
I don't know what they have.
Is it something I can look up?
Yeah, yeah. Well, so there's the idea, there's a concept of it, which is really kind of a nice concept. You develop in areas of the township where maybe it makes more sense to develop around Pine Bluff, let's say, than in a, you know, Class A, trout stream or
Right.
wonderful agricultural setting. So they have that makes a lot of sense, but then there's a function of doing the banking and selling and the buying, and that part is difficult, but it does happen, and it has happened. And it's happening just outside of the village.
So what's your opinion on objective 2?
I think that we should have discussions with any township, so around us, to
Okay,
see if they have a TDR program, an active one. And then work with them to balance out our needs as a village and their desires as a township.
okay.
So change that to coordinate with all townships?
Well,
Yeah, Jason townships, yeah.
Yeah, I would put Jason
Right.
townships with working development rights TDA program to do
Yeah.
it, right?
TDR.
TDR, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, that sounds good. All right, we're on page 123. And I would, again, I'm getting rid of number 3. Because one, we can barely pay our own bills and I just don't want to get an agreement where we pay the town. You know, that'd be like pre-crossing, we'd have to pay them a certain amount of money, so everybody agree? in removing that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so then we go down to policies. And my first real change is 5. And again, it says Cross Plains Business Association. I changed it to Cross Plains Area Chamber of Commerce, because I believe that's the current name. And then I again remove, number 8, because that again talks about sharing revenues with the towns. Okay, we got a problem with that? All right, and then, number 11, and this is just a reality check. I get rid of on a regular basis and say meet with stakeholders, organizations and agencies to discuss the preservation of natural resource areas and long-term plans for implementation. I think it's a false statement if you say we're gonna do it on a regular basis. Oh, it's a removal of that.
Or you could just say that deleted, but I think just removing it is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much is once in 10 years?
I was just gonna ask that, how many times did we do it in the last 10 years?
Boy, it's true.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, it's a reality.
Long overdue.
Yeah, all right, so then we're
Seth
on,
has one.
whoops,
Number 11.
what about 11?
Number 11, so we talk about a commitment to preservation of natural resource areas, but we talk about that completely separate from discussions about development. Should the two of these somehow, like, growth and development, right? Like, so how do we do both? at the same time?
Well, I guess I didn't, what everybody should do. You should read the first page of the comprehensive plan.
To begin, okay.
Yeah, it gives you the purpose of the plan, and you'll see it's pretty much tied to land use. And then the other thing, because I know Kevin brought it up, also on there is the process of adopting the plan. So that's all on the first page that will, one, keep the purpose of the plan in mind when you go through your chapters, and then this is the process that will be given. So I just want to throw that out, because we're already assuming that they're tied together.
Gotcha, okay.
Okay, so we are the cooperation program recommendations. I think the first paragraph is good.
Seth
Oh,
has one.
I'm sorry.
On policies, we
Yeah.
consider with the school district, I'd like to see something somewhere, working with the school district on traffic circulation and access to the middle school. I still think we've got a problem, that the village and the school district need to work together on. About a second access point. Something. I don't know if this is a place to.
Oh, we can put that in. It's already in our, what's
The land use. or-
what's the one we just approved?
Official map.
Yeah,
I mean, we show roadways.
we showed the roadway.
There's something that,
I
I don't
can,
know if in here.
if everything's fine, I'll stick it in under 7 and move everything down, and it'll basically work with the,
Traffic circulation and access.
Yeah.
something like that.
for the middle school.
Or-
Everybody okay with that? All right,
What do we do about number 6?
I'm just gonna modify that to reflect what we did in the upper part. Okay. So then, the bottom, the first paragraph is good, state issues is good, at least I have it, county regional issues are good, they're actually very applicable now. And then, then we get into, local issues, so basically what I ended up doing is, getting rid of the headings of town of Berry, town of Crossman. We're just doing general local issue. And then what I did is got rid of the 2 paragraphs under town of Cross Plains. Then the first paragraph that was under town of Berry, if you look at what I typed, it's basically the same thing that this is, but I changed the town of Berry to townships, and I eliminated the very last, basically the last sentence, or I ended it right at design standards and didn't include and revenue sharing. I don't believe. Oh, no, I do have revenue sharing in there. So I just got rid of the last sentence. And then I moved up the second paragraph to keep in there. So what it does, it's a general statement of talking with the townships about issues that are mutual concerns, and it goes through rural development levels, exercise and exterior rights, municipal boundaries, water, sewer, names everything you can think of. So I kept that, but kept it general for townships. And then the second paragraph, if we want to do these boundary agreements, here's the process. You have 2 options, and here are pros and cons. So that's how I would end the local issues. So really what you think about, I eliminated everything for Cross Plains, basically kept everything under the town of Berry, but it's just under local issues, and I just modified the town of Berry not to be just tied to town of Berry to everybody.
Thank you, Doc. What did you really-
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, they're good changes. I'm just trying to, get a handle on intergovernmental agreements with the 2 townships right now. But I guess 3 possibly, but, we have old ones that are signed.
We had one with the town of Cross Plains, and it expired, I think, in 2002, and they chose not to renew it.
But I thought they were required.
No,
They are not. required.
no, they're not required. And there's 2 ways of doing it. And the one way where everybody has an equal vote, I would not get involved in again. I am very frustrated with that. The other one is where people have to be more cooperative. And I'm okay with doing that, but I want, since that is a land use thing, I think it should be in the report, even though we may not have a interest now. I think that is an option out there. There are, obviously, like Middleton has agreed with town of Middleton, town of Springfield. Madison has done one with everybody except for the town of Verona. Yeah, so, I mean, those things, and it's not that I'm totally opposed to them, it's just right now, I don't see an actual need for it, and I think we have bigger issues that we have to deal with the townships right now than boundaries in these agreements. And the one for town across Plains, according to this, was only for the RIP property and the whole side of the property. That was it. Which is kind of unusual. Usually they set the whole boundary.
Those are expired now.
So, yeah. According to this, I didn't check on it because it was so old, but that's what this states, that it expired and we knew it.
I don't see anything on the DOA website for
Oh.
an active agreement involving.
Okay, all right, that's consistent, yeah. Very good, thank you for checking that. I was gonna-
So this is good, thank you. Going on to future ones, because I've got handwritten notes as well. Do we have a Word version?
Well, that's what I'm gonna stop it and talk to Becky. They've gotta have the software to be able to take a PDF and turn it into a Word document.
Vanderwall wrote it in 2018, so we could get you a Word.
Oh, that would be.
And easier.
That would be fantastic, because then what I'll do is Becky can send it to me and then I'll do these modifications and then we'll bring it back with everything as a whole.
With track changes or something.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna make a recommendation then, to have these, I see you going eek already. Can we make track changes and send it out prior to the meeting so we can
Sure.
read it?
Yeah,
As a draft, and then we
Yes.
can come here and we don't have to edit by committee?
yeah, we can do that. This was, like I say, I didn't come up with this idea of typing things up and handing it out until Saturday. I'm thinking, this is gonna be a long meeting if I don't give them something
Yeah,
that they have. So I just did it and we made copies, tonight.
So just so you know, there is an easy way of actually creating a PDF into a Word document, but
I have a way to, yeah.
Well,
You just-
I don't know how to do it, and I'm gonna try to learn how to do the,
You have.
where
to
you
have
cross
the
them out in
plan,
red,
like,
and put it in blue,
The
whatever.
commenting features on Adobe.
yeah,
I can,
if you have pros.
I can.
Well, if she's gonna send us a Word,
Yeah,
that would, if you could do that, that would be fantastic. All right, anything else on this? So we got through one of them, kind of,
What chapters are we?
well, that was gonna be my next question. Who might be ready to, mine was a kind of simple one and short one. So I don't expect us to stay all night to finish one. If you have one that might need to be broken up, feel free to do that. I guess I'll ask who feels they might be ready by the May meeting.
I have not done anything because I've been having two jobs. in the-
Yeah, I hear you. Like I said, I wanted to go first because I want something off my plate with things that are coming up, so,
But I should be ready by June.
okay.
I don't remember what I. Oh, the introduction.
It's written down.
Right, yeah, but where? There's like so many.
Right?
All right. I'll find the email, I'll send it out to everybody again, and then we can do a reply to me and say how long you think it might be, and I'll
Is
keep
it
Jay updated.
shareable?
What? An actual, no, not on
Not
a
enough.
share like
Probably not
website
enough.
and, yeah. I'll find it, I'll send it.
Otherwise, I'd be willing to go for it.
No, I hear it. I'm asking, if no one's ready, but, that's fine. We do want to move this forward, so, give it some thought. He'll send something out and kind of give an idea, on what it is. I know you guys everybody's extremely busy here, and I'm retired and I don't have any kids at home, so I got time to do something like this. And if you need help on something, send it my way and say, can you do help me with chapter five? Well, not the whole thing, but tell me which one, because like on this one, I actually went on the websites and looked at what the schools were and how many, students are there, and then I looked up both those reports, because I gotta give them to Becky so she can pull them off and put them on. So like I say, I can do that kind of stuff, I don't mind doing that.
When you host those documents and those links, do it on our website. Please don't link it to Carps or your game.
No, that's what I'm saying, I want her to pull it to our website,
Yeah,
yep,
and then you can link it within our, because
Yes.
they change links, it's lost forever.
yep. That is exactly what I was thinking, Kevin.
Motion to adjourn?
Well, hold it, any future items, I think isn't that on the agenda? I got all
Incidents,
those
but
freaking-
probably should.
I'm already packed up.
Yeah. Oh, no, I guess we're right at adjournment, very good, go ahead, Kevin.
I've already done it.
Oh,
I'll second to adjourn.
Okay, second.
okay, we have a second, all in favor, say aye. Aye, thank you very much.
And 6:30.
They got a big.
What day did you spend that?
Just one.
Oh, and everybody knows